All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another loot design stream. I am Spencer Campbell of Gila RPGs. I am very excited to have Binary Star Games here to do some loot designing. Binary, do you mind introducing yourself to folks, and then I'll kind
Yeah,
of set the
sure.
stage for what we're doing
Uh,
tonight?
Yep. So I am Binary Star. It's my birth name, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I run, as Center said, Binary Star Games. I've written Apocalypse Frame with the Lumen system, specific to people watching this channel, probably. I hope. Shit. Um, I've also written quite a few other things. I don't fucking know. I've written too much shit.
You are prolific. You have written a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Past year, Valiant Horizon, Celestial Bodies are the big ones that came out.
I am such a huge fan of both of those games.
Yeah.
They're both so clever. I think I've mentioned multiple times on streams that I think the total effect system is like one of my favorite dice systems
Oh,
in
thank you.
general. It's on my list of systems to make things. I've actually kind of like started a list of systems that I want to play with, and I just finished doing something for RPs, Fari RPGs.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw that. That's a
what
cool system.
yeah, the Songs and
Sounds and
Sagas
Saga.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I think I could put something together quick enough for this jam if it's really minimal. And now like I've like had total effect ideas in the back burner for a while, so now I feel like I gotta like go back and do it.
Yeah.
Um, it's good.
No,
It's really good. So I just needed to tell you that I think it's very
thank you. Well,
good.
likewise, I need to tell you, I have been poking. Actually, I sent you a preview of this, so this is the first time anyone outside my Discord is hearing about this. I had been working on a Slayers thing because I fucking love that dice system and how malleable it is.
I'm so excited by the Slayers thing that you're
Yeah,
you're
like
cooking
I'm
up.
really curious if that's going to turn out worth a damn. We're all going to find out together,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think so.
I love that. So what are we doing here tonight?
Yeah.
This is a series of guest streams that I'm doing with friends in the indie RPG scene who want to come on, and we're going to just make some loot for Loot, my game that's currently on Kickstarter right now. And the general premise is that the guest comes on with like a theme and or like a game or a piece of media that they want to make loot inspired by. We've done only one of these so far. Last night I did it with Mark Mazur, who we did something based off of his like love of doing gardening right now, and we made these cool like
Okay.
druid builders. So that was
Oh
a
yeah.
fun theme to play around with. Binary, you have come with a topic ahead of time, and so what is the topic that you're interested in?
Yes. So this one had been on my mind because I had started to make a game based off of loot for it
Perfect.
already. Um, so the topic I had in mind was Stalker. That is a project that is I'm probably not going to continue because it got hit by the bus that is Celestial Bodies. um,
Which is a
but
very good
nonetheless, it's
game.
been on my mind since then.
Nice.
um,
So for I was telling you just before we got started that I am not familiar. I have a very surface level understanding of what Stalker is. So not only for me, but also for anybody who is watching now or watching it later who might not know what Stalker is. It's a video game, right?
it is
Uh,
it
and
is
all right,
among other
I'm
things. Yeah.
I'm off to a good start. But like, what are some like general vibes and themes that we should be aware of, just so that we have a like a building point?
Yeah. So just as a preface, it is a video game. There was a 70s movie that I have not watched
Oh, I didn't
because
know
I am
that.
not that cultured. I have played the video games.
Okay.
um, so the general vibe is that there is, you've heard the zone.
Yeah,
This is where it comes from. So
very
there's
cool.
an exclusion zone around Ukraine, specifically around Chernobyl, where things are just kind of reality's a little messed up.
Mm,
There are like all sorts of anomalous situations around, but people go into it to get artifacts, which are just little anomalous like things that good way to describe them. They just don't quite react right to physics.
okay, very cool.
Yeah. So the big well, first off, obviously, going into a dangerous place to get things sinks really nicely, which is why I
Yeah,
was thinking about it
it's a
as a
perfect
loot
thing.
hack. Specifically, the vibe that I really like about the games is that your verbs are very um mundane.
Okay.
Like you don't have like magic or anything. You have gun.
Oh, okay.
Like you have, you in normal equipment going out into the fucking
Gotcha. So
anomalous
we're
zone
just
trying to
we're
deal
just
with
regular folks
this
with
bad
regular
shit.
stuff against the weird.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Got it.
So
Love
your
that.
verbs are kind of normal, but
Okay.
you can gather these artifacts and use them though. And that's yeah, my thought is gameplay wise, it's like, okay, like weapon wise, I mean guns,
Sure.
but I think the real like weird stuff comes in with like I forget what you call them, like the jewelry
Oh,
or
like the
like
magic items. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's where like the weird shit comes in.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll have like kind of like standard what you might expect to be weapons, but then the real sauce comes with the weird
Yeah.
shit, the magic items and things like that.
Well, semi-standard because like I mean, we are talking about a fantasy setting. We are talking about like gun ass guns.
Right,
like,
right.
like the game takes place in I think 2012.
Okay.
Like so you have like gun ass guns.
Gotcha. I mean, that'll be a fun thing to try and
Exactly.
to bring into
Yeah.
this world. I love that. Okay, so weirdo exclusion in zone sort of thing. People are going in with with gun against the weird, and the goal is to try and get some of these artifacts and bring them back. And the artifacts are in some way not they don't shake hands with physics very well, and
No.
that's the vibe that we're going for.
No. And typically like the ones you'll get in game are like you are going to be very resistant to fire, but you're going to be irradiated if you keep hold on to this for too long. That kind of
Like a monkey's
like
paw sort of thing. Like it'll give
yeah,
you something, but it's gonna like it'll somehow twist
typically.
it against you, or there's some sort of downside to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, I like that idea of just kind of like a cool bonus in general, but a downside to it.
Yeah.
Is a fun thing to sort of think about. Okay, cool. All right, I feel like I have a general sense about the vibes of how this game generally works, and we can work with that. Um, so yeah, how I've sort of done this in the past, and when I say that, I mean the one time I've done this so far, is I just ask, like, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with sort of, there's sort of like the four categories of loot. There's the weapons, there's the magic items, clothing, and then consumables. And the goal is kind of just to put some like bullet point ideas down for these things. You know, we don't have to get like final text of what would be on the card, but more just like what are the vibes, and then those vibes can be turned into cards at another time.
Yeah.
Unless we're coming in and we're like, we know mechanically exactly what this is gonna be, and
I
then
was
we
gonna
can
say
do
I have some ideas.
perfect.
I can
Which
probably put something down.
I love that. So I mean, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with just like with gun with weapons, or do you want to like dive straight into the weird with some of these artifacts and stuff?
I don't know. What are you thinking?
Well, actually, I'm curious about clothing in particular because I think that's the
Yes.
one thing that I don't have a picture in my head is like,
Yeah.
are we going in like if our folks who are in the Stalker verse, are they like kitted with like radiation suits, or are they like Miltech sort of specced out, or are they just like
So
in
all of
clothes?
the above.
Okay,
So you have like some military types in there because the Ukrainian military patrols the zone and tries to keep people out
gotcha.
for don't
Obvious
die
reasons.
reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have those. You have scientists in there who have like hazmat suits,
Hmm.
just like full like protective. Um, you have people on the inside who have made their own suits.
Oh, okay. So people can
Just kind
like
of
be in there for a while.
yes.
Oh, okay, interesting. So there
Yeah.
are there like people who live in this zone,
Uh,
kinda, or
yes. Like not like families, but
yeah,
yeah, there's like semi-permanent locations. Like there are definitely central locations where like
interesting.
old stations that have been like deradiated enough that people can like set up there, that kind of thing.
I need to look much more into this game. It
Oh,
sounds
go play
very
Stalker. So
awesome.
good.
What?
They're they rule. Go
Yeah,
play them.
I will. I'm gonna absolutely play this. Or at the very least, watch somebody play it so that I
That
can
works good.
absorb it through osmosis. Okay, cool. So I wasn't sure if there was like a, oh, we know for sure what the clothing is because it's
Yeah,
like everybody wears hazmat, but it sounds like there's a wide variety of
yeah.
things.
On the high end, you also have like exoskeletons too.
Oh, hell yeah. Sick. I'm
Oh,
into that.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I wanna start with weapon just because I want to see what gun is in loot, because it's so different
A real
than
question, isn't it?
yeah, right? Because like everything else like in loot is like I mean the closest we have to gun in loot is like a spell like magic
Yeah, or
missile or
like a bow
something,
or something.
right?
Yeah.
So I guess the question is like we have gun, and the question is how does gun work in loot? Do we
Yeah.
basically just sort of treat it as a bow that has a different coat of paint on it, or is there something that we would want to do to differentiate it from like a bow and arrow or a weapon?
So I'm inclined to go more interesting than that, just
Hmm.
because, like, I mean, that's the easy answer,
Sure,
but
right?
so I'm inclined to lean on like full auto as a thing. So
Okay. Like being able to
like spray
like
an
spray and
area kind
pray
of.
sort of thing and just hit like
Yeah.
a like so even like you choose like an area. So it's almost like an AoE sort of weapon instead of
Yeah,
a single target, but like you choose this area and you fill it with bullets.
exactly.
Sort of thing.
Like a 2x2 or something.
Yeah. You fill a 2x2 space with bullets.
Yeah,
Very good. Yeah, Navi, I see you in chat saying I cast bullet. That's what we're doing. We're casting bullet right now.
exactly.
Um, cool. I love that. Is like gun because like gun feels powerful, obviously.
Yeah.
Do we think gun just like off the top of your head? Do you think it is something that because like weapons have like basic use, so like you can use it as is, and then like the charge thing where it's like you use it, but then you have to reset it. Is
Yeah.
gun the sort of thing we feel like you're always just sort of spraying and praying, or is this like a you're selective about it charged sort of thing?
Yeah, my thought was like half and half.
Mm-hmm.
So like for something like, like a full auto, like AK
Yeah.
kind of thing, yeah, you'd probably just make that a charged.
Yeah.
But for other things, you probably want to be a little more selective.
Yeah. So
Like,
you have some sort of basic thing that can be like a single target sort of thing,
yeah,
just so you're like, okay, I want to hurt this, but I can also, if I really need to, literally just hold down trigger and
exactly.
go. I there's another suggestion in chat which says I cast radiation sickness, so that'll be a fun spell or artifact too that we could think
Yeah,
about.
sure. But yeah,
Cool.
that's like a full auto kind of thing. If you want to do a second one, like maybe a shotgun kind of thing. What does that look like?
Yeah, what does a shotgun look like? I mean, I think I feel like the space of play with guns to separate them from weapons is by playing with like shapes, right? So like
Yeah.
having that 2x2 that like is X spaces away, and then like shotgun is like I don't know, like how do you draw a cone on a? I don't have a grid in front of
Yeah,
me, but I'm
like
like imagining some sort of like cone like shape
yeah, I
that you
think you
can
have
draw
like
in
the
front of you.
Tetris piece with four pieces,
Yeah,
like,
right.
you
Like
know,
some sort of weird Tetris shaped cone that for targeting, something
yeah,
like that. I love that. I love the idea of because in a game where there's no dice, right?
yeah,
So it's not about am I hitting because I'm rolling. It's the thing that's important about combat in this is positioning. And if positioning is now all based off of these weird shapes, now it is like playing chess, right? It's like getting my knight in such a way that my knight with its weird attack pattern can take that pawn. And now this is like with my weird shotgun shape, where do I need to
absolutely.
be to do the thing?
Especially with like any like powers that people end up getting with like movement, like moving enemies like into position, like setting up
Yeah.
those bowling balls so you can knock them down, bowling pins.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Perfect. Okay, I feel like we've got a couple of like we got gun like the basics of gun taken care of. We have regular gun and then we have shotgun gun.
two kinds.
The only two guns you really need in life. Perfect. Let's play with these artifacts because I feel like the artifacts is like this the sweet spot with this.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
magic items. So like magic items in loot can take a bunch of forms. They can just be like, here's a weird narrative thing you can do. Like you can talk to cats. Is if you as long as you have this, you can always talk to cats. And like mechanically, not like defined, but it's just like vibes. And then there's magic items that like are just boosts. Like it's just gonna make you healthier. You have more health or more of a one of the approaches because it's just giving you that. It sounds like sort of like the thing that you described, where probably it would be more like it gives you one thing but takes something else away from you because it's
Yeah,
not always straightforward. And then some magic items are like they have a charged effect and they just do like a weird thing, like rewind time for a turn in combat or something, and it almost acts like a spell. Um, this might be where we can cast radiation sickness
yeah, sure.
or something like that. So, can you give me some examples of like some of these artifacts from the game itself, so I have like a sense of what are some of the things that like might make sense?
Yeah, sure. So like, I'm trying to remember some. Like a lot of them like mess with like protectiveness
Okay,
or like your stamina or things like that.
protection, resistance, stamina. So they're
They end up
like,
being like, your run ability, essentially.
gotcha.
Like, so basically just like boosting your ability to like withstand weird shit, usually.
Okay, cool. So I kind of like that. So then rather than these being like weird things that are going to like obliterate the space, it's more about like what sort of protections do we want to take in, knowing that these protections will also come with some sort of strange cost to us as
Yeah.
well. Uh
So
Sick. I love that.
what we can also do is one thing that does come in the later games is the idea of detection. So you have
Mm,
like kind of a repurposed Geiger counter thing that like beeps when you get close to an artifact. So in
okay.
this case, we could do something like when you're close to, I don't know, like some amount of money, it starts
Mhm.
going off, that kind of thing.
Yeah, when you're near valuables or like consumables,
Yeah,
that could be like rifled through that. You can rifle through that pile, and you know you're gonna get some valuable consumable or something like that, money, stuff like that. Perfect.
exactly.
Okay, cool. So we're in the space of like strange forms of protection, resistance, boosts of some kind. We got detection. So like we've got in terms of things that can be boosted in loot, there's health, so we can always give people more health or more armor. So just straight up like
Sure.
damage mitigation or health. And then there's the approaches, right? So just giving them like increasing the maximum value of force flow and focus. Um, we could play with the space of because like a lot of the combat stuff can be narratively interpreted of like you have fire protection, like you're immune to fire. Like it's
Yeah.
not as mechanically defined just because it's like there's no damage types in the game, but the table can absolutely interpret like I have fire protection and that dragon just breathed fire on me and I'm fine
Right.
actually, which is I'm totally down for that too. So let's see here. I think the other thing to think about is the costs with these, like the downside
Yeah.
to taking one of these is the cost. I'm curious, is it like typically that the cost is somewhat related to the thing that you get like you have fire protection but also you're very vulnerable to cold or something like that, like it's an opposite
So
sort of thing, or can it be just random ass things?
I think so. That's a hard question to answer because
Okay.
like in the games, it's kind more just like almost all of them just irradiate you.
Oh, okay.
um, but once you start getting into like mods, which is probably where I spent most of my hours, like you start getting a lot of people bringing in other ideas like, oh, this takes away some of your bulletproofness, or
mm,
oh, like you are now extremely vulnerable to electricity on
I
account of
see.
this.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. I am fascinated by the idea of it just irradiating you, like in terms of like what I'm trying to think like how can we manifest the idea of like you can use this but it will slowly make things worse for you throughout play, and I'm just curious like how we can do that. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think.
trying to think like maybe some like increasing debuff over time or something
Yeah,
like
like
you take like plus X harm for every scene you
yeah, right. That's
have
I think
it
that's
on.
sort of the thing is right. Like, how do we want to measure it? Do we want to measure it by like the number of scenes that you're in, the number of fights you go through, or like the number of quests? So like you wear it, you know, like this quest, this session, it's gonna give me this debuff. But if I wear it again next time, it's gonna get worse for me, and it's gonna get worse for me. Um, but I also like the idea of like It's very much I put it on at the start of the session, and then each scene you see my character just looking worse and worse. I love that. Each scene, this gets worse
Yeah,
for
I think
you.
it's got to be each scene. I think
Yeah,
that's the funnier option.
yeah, 100%. Great. So I think in general, I like the idea of you'll have something like you said, like you take like plus X harm, or take additional harm, or you're vulnerable to some sort of damage, or your armor literally just rots away, or I guess it
Yeah,
corrodes away.
yeah, you could do like corrode armor first and then health or something.
Yeah, right. So your armor starts rusting, and then you start getting sick underneath the armor for every scene that goes through. And then like you're really trying to figure out as a player, like, how do I keep this scene going so that I don't so that
Yeah,
I don't move to the next scene and feel worse.
or like, how do I make sure everyone doesn't like lose track of what they're doing and go off to this like side part of the dungeon?
Right, like let's focus up here. Let's do this in the
Yeah,
least number of scenes that we need to. My arm just fell off.
exactly.
Because I'm jacked up on radiation right now. Cool. So I like this idea that these artifacts in general they're gonna just like rot you away over time. And then we just need like a couple of ideas of like things that it will boost for you, or things like that. Um, Obviously we can do like plus X health or armor, right? It just straight up gives you a boost on any of those
Yeah,
things, or approaches. Those are straightforward. Um, Anything that we feel like is another, like, it can even just be like a narrative thing, like you can do this thing now, but also as long as like you can jump 30 feet in the air,
yeah,
but
sure.
you're
Like
gonna
messing with
slowly rot.
gravity is one that comes up a lot
Oh,
as far as like
okay.
anomalies. So
Yeah,
yeah, go with that. Like, yeah, you can maybe gravity only counts as half for you right now or something.
yeah, I like that. Half gravity while wearing it, and then you just feel worse the longer you decide to be in
Yeah,
the lighter gravity zone, which you can like obviously could really pay off throughout the whole quest, but it also like you have to decide like how long am I going to push wearing this sort of thing.
yeah,
That's very good. So cool. We can give some boosts. We can give some like gravity thing, and then also you mentioned the idea of like a detection component to it as well. Like it can detect valuables or something like that. Given that they're normally designed to be like radiation detectors, right, or something
yeah.
like
It's
that.
like kind of like a jury-rigged Geiger counter that someone like made to detect artifacts. So you use
Gotcha.
it mostly when you're getting, mostly in like really nasty areas to get something
Mm,
valuable.
okay.
Be like, okay, I know I'm getting warmer on this,
Yeah.
but also
Uh,
I have to watch where I step now.
yeah. I like that. I like that added component to it. Like being able to like detect valuable items is one thing, but like having it be like when you are in the hot zone, when you're in the
Yeah,
worst possible place, then it will tell you where you can find the
exactly.
thing that you actually need, which like forces you to be like, okay, it's not just like magically telling me where all the gold coins are around me. I must seek out the worst place in this swamp so that I can find the valuable thing that's inside of it. That's when this magic rock will tell me where I need to go.
Exactly. That works.
Perfect. In general, these things are good to have but also suck to have at the same time, and I think that's actually a really fun place to play in.
Yeah. Like you don't want everything that just gives you bonuses. You want something that's like, I want to think about this.
Yeah, right. Like there's intentionality to deciding to put on this thing, right? Like, because if it is always just like, oh, I will look at the cards that give me the bigger number than the numbers that I currently have,
Yeah,
like it becomes less exciting. But if it's more like, oh, half gravity, wow, that's really neat. Oh shit, wait, my arm might fall off by the end of this if I if we
yeah,
do
you
too
gotta get
many
really
scenes.
orthogonal with it to keep these interesting. Like
Yeah.
that's really the play.
Yes, the orthogonal thing. Absolutely. That video is so good. The
It's a
whole
good video.
it's so
Oh my
good.
god.
Yeah.
It's one
Uh
of those things where it's like I knew the concept but not a name for it. Now I'm just gonna keep saying that word.
I know, right? When Will sent that to me, I was just like, "Oh, I get it now. It's so good to have exactly like you said the word that I can be like this is what I think is good design. This, more of this stuff and things." Um cool. All right, I feel like we've got basic concepts of magic items taken care of for the most part with the
Yeah.
artifacts. Unless there was anything else that you're like, ooh, this is a big component of Stalker that we are missing that could be captured by the magic item. So like any other like weird narrative-y sort of powers that people get, or
Hmm.
other things that feel like it would be really in line with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Um, Not really, I don't think.
Okay,
I
cool.
think that's pretty much good for it. Good for now, I think.
Yeah, that's great. There's a great suggestion in chat. Zeke the Freak says, I think a concept where a weapon benefits from the armor would be cool. So, like, if you have an armor of like a certain set, like you get more shots or ammo out of gun,
Yeah,
essentially,
it's a good idea.
right? So, like, if you bring like the tactical vest or something, like if you have tactical vest and have gun equipped, gun
Yeah,
becomes a
like
3x3 or
yeah,
something.
it's like it gives you some lesser health and armor, but it gives you like +1 damage to gun or something,
Yeah, plus
or plus
one to
one damage to like
gun.
one target or something.
Right, exactly. If you have this and gun equipped, get some damage
Love that we're just
bonus.
calling it gun. It's great.
There's that's what it's gonna be. Once you name something like that, you can't unname it.
It's true.
Uh so yeah, I like that, and then I like the idea that like a smaller stat bonus on this one, because it's more about the synergy with gun.
Yeah,
Great use of the word synergy there. We all love it.
we love
Uh
some.
we've got like a tactical vest, so that kind of covers the like because you kind of mentioned like there's a military presence in this
Yeah,
place. You mentioned that there's like scientists in like hazmats and things like that. I'm wondering what a hazmat clothing item can
yeah.
do for us.
I'm wondering, like maybe it's just like lower stats, but it counts as having a lot more armor against like certain kinds of attacks or something.
Yeah, I like that, right? Lower stats, like lower stat bonuses, but some sort of protection against like environmental
Yeah,
effects, or like some type of
just like
damage.
non-weapon effects, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
and that could just be it, like magic, right? Like we could just
yeah,
say like if anything that tries to hurt you, that's magic, right? That because that's what the hazmat is. It's not
yeah,
radiation, but it's all that gross magic that's in the air, and
very
you're protected from it. But it's not great at like blocking a mace to the face. That's not going to help you too much, the hazmat, but it will help you when that weird wizard tries to blast you with a death ray.
exactly.
Perfect. Um, was there a third type of clothing? I can't remember if you had mentioned another
Yeah,
sort of like group or something like that.
exoskeleton is a big
Yeah,
one.
yeah, exoskeletons. Sweet. Uh, so like the sort of like so they have the cool exosuit that like kind of lets them like be faster and run
The
fast.
opposite. So this is
Oh,
basically just like you are very protected, but you can't run. Like,
oh, okay. Very protected, but like very low
yeah,
mobility sort of
it's
thing.
it's like, have you seen those like construction exoskeleton kind of things?
Oh,
It's kind of
I
like
see
that with
now.
like a bunch of bulletproofing built in.
I
Like you can
gotcha.
lift a bunch of shit, you can like walk around and be bulletproof, you can't run.
Gotcha. Okay. Love that. So basically, like yeah, like a construction. God damn it, I can't type. Exosuit. Um, super, super safe, but not really going to win any races.
No.
Love that. Perfect.
Yeah. So maybe that's like, some sort of very high armor, but like you can only move one square per turn, period, or something.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Or like if you moved the last turn, you can't move this turn, sort of thing, because it
oh,
like
there you go.
takes you so long to like wind up the rotors to like
Yeah.
move your thing. Yeah, I like that. So like if you moved this turn and next turn, so you're really plodding along here. But then like it does open up the opportunity for somebody who has like a weird like teleportation ring magic item to be like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll move you because you're taking forever to get across this grid right now.
Yeah, exactly. Or like like I said, various movement powers like on enemies, just like moving things toward you,
Yeah, yeah,
so you can actually
exactly.
do anything to them.
Be like, okay, just you. I can't get to you, so I'm gonna bring you to me now, and pulverize you with my giant exo fist. Uh, this is very good. I can see absolutely how, because you started this by saying you were just making a straight up loot game based
Yes.
off of this stuff, and I can
Yeah.
see how that would
So
totally work.
yeah, I can send this to you afterwards. Like I said, it's pretty much a dead letter on my end. It was ended up being like half loot, half total effect using like,
Oh,
but still using the approaches kind of.
okay.
So
That's very, oh,
yeah,
that's a
like
cool hybrid. Now I have to see it just because I
I will
like total
absolutely send
effect
it.
that much.
Yeah. No, I mean I send it to anyone who asks just because it's like I don't think I'm gonna keep doing this.
Fair.
But so hope someone gets something out of it.
We all have that, right? We all have our billion documents of like, well, maybe future Spencer will get to it. He won't,
Exactly.
but
It's
I'll
like
convince
I
myself that he will.
I have like a pile of like 5 things that I've started,
Mm,
like not just started, but like probably like 30 pages into.
okay, yeah. So you put some
Like,
time into
and it's
them.
like it's not at the high end of the pile.
Yeah, got it. Got it. I'm just
But
curious, a quick peek behind the curtain. Are you working on like anything else with the celestial bodies like sort of system
oh,
play?
buddy. So we are well into Titan edition, which is
Okay.
the next edition of it. It is 270 pages long at the moment.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine writing that many
So that's what I've
pages.
been doing this year.
Okay. I mean, that's gonna be very, very good.
Yeah, that
What's
should be out pretty soon.
what's
Like,
Titan Edition like? Like, I mean, obviously, you've got a lot going on in it, but like,
yes.
what's the elevator pitch for it compared to what Celestial Bodies is?
Okay. So the elevator pitches, I added 19 factions first off, because we had a bunch of backer factions.
Oh, okay.
Um, Second off, we added like home ship construction.
Okay.
So the idea is that we wanted some sort of advancement mechanic.
Yeah.
So like you do that to like build stuff, you get more stuff based on what you built, that kind of thing. We added like downtime around that too. So
Oh,
um,
all the gameplay loops that I'm just craving
yeah,
absolutely are in it now. Okay, good.
and the big thing that we did add too is more facilitation for solo players, or not solo, but like GM-less play.
Oh, yes.
So one big thing we added was a big like mission hex flower setup.
Oh, cool.
So the idea is that like you have like an objective, but like based on where you're going, you just have this big hex flower of events that you go through. And
That's really cool because I remember reading it and like it has the GM list support and I understand like GM list in like combat, like I understand like how
yeah,
systems like that can be designed, but once you get outside of combat my brain breaks like what GM list is unless it's a
yes,
solo game that has some sort of prompting system. So
yeah.
that's cool
There was
that you've
there
got like
was some
the
stuff with like the defining details and stuff, but there's a lot more now.
yeah,
So
hell yeah. Well, awesome. I'm into it. I'm very excited about that.
thank you.
Um, all right, we got one more category to kind of like brainstorm, and then I feel like we've got a good set to start with here for this like Stalker
So
inspired collection, which is consumables. So consumables are basically just like we might imagine. They can be things like health potions. They can have a clear mechanical effect. They can be used in combat, but they could also be again like magic items like vibes, like but more like temporarily gives you something. So like, oh, you can see in the dark for a little bit instead of you always can see in the dark or something like that. Um, I'm guessing since Stalker is a video game that there are probably some sort of consumables in the
you
game.
guessing
Am I
correctly.
am I correct on that? Um, what kind of consumables does the game naturally have? And I guess do we think those are a good fit, or do we want to find something that
Yeah.
captures the vibe in a
So
different way?
for the most part, they're kind of boring.
Hmm.
They're mostly like you have med kits,
Yeah.
you have
Okay.
you have bandages because bleeding is a big thing in the game. So like
Oh, okay.
in practice that is not boring, but like when
Sure.
you're translating it to anything else, it is boring.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
um, so you have that kind of stuff like with something like a grenade count because I would think it would.
Sure. Absolutely. Right. We got gun. Why not have grenade?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure.
So grenade, another like AoE effect in combat sort of thing. Perfect.
Yeah,
Um, so then like other consumables, we've talked a lot about like irradiation and stuff like that. I guess
yeah,
one of the consumables could be like it does deter any irradiation effects you have for a scene. Like it slows down that sort of thing.
yeah. Like slows down or reverses it to some degree.
Yeah, slows down or reverses uh, irradiating effects from
Yeah.
your magic items. Perfect. Um, and then I also like the idea of you like becoming very irradiated or like you irradiating a spot, just being like, this is now a hot zone. I've ruined it.
Yeah, we can definitely take some liberties there and just be like, I don't know, like, artifact dust or something, just like
Yeah.
something you pour out and just kind of fuck up everything around you.
Yeah. Artifact dust is very fun. Creates an absolute nightmare radiation zone around you.
Yeah, that's fun.
I do like the idea also of like not just like an irradiation zone, but like making the zone, like where you're just like, I have designated this
Yeah,
as part of the zone now.
yeah, just like creating like an anomalous area
Yeah.
somehow. Like,
uh I like
yeah,
that
that's
a
fun.
lot.
Just like reality or like space warping kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
connect two areas on the map,
Yeah,
like that kind of
connecting
thing.
areas, messing with physics. Like you choose one rule of physics to change in some way. And it lasts as long as you're in this area or for the scene or something like that. I
Yeah,
that I think is like the sweet spot of like, okay, if it is all about these like weird zones, like how can we, rather than like
we bring that
assuming,
in.
yeah, right, rather than assuming we will seek them out, which is what's going on in Stalker, instead we will simply bring the zones to us.
Exactly.
uh that's perfect. uh cool. Well, we got some great ideas for all of the categories here. We did it. This
We
is
got there.
two streams in a row where this has happened. We nailed it in one. I feel like we did a really good job with it. Cool. Anything that you feel like we like super duper missed from Stalker that like needs to be here?
Oh, not super duper missed. I'm trying to
Okay,
think if there's anything we can pick at because we got time.
sure.
Um, hmm.
We
Yeah.
got it.
Or just feel free to throw shit out. I'll run with it.
Sure. Just given what I know about the game, there are like, so are there like factions in it that like are at
Yes.
like war at one another? And
Yes.
okay, so I'm
Yeah.
wondering if,
So the big ones that are constantly at it's a good word, at odds. There's we go.
okay.
Brain. Are freedom and duty.
Oh,
Freedom basically just wants to just everyone can access the zone. Who gives a shit? Fuck
ah,
this. Who
okay.
cares? Duty wants to contain the zone and
Interesting.
contain people from the various horrors of it.
Okay.
Because part of this is that the zone is expanding very slowly.
Oh, okay. So it's getting worse for
Yes,
everybody.
it is getting very slowly worse for everybody.
Got it. I feel like we could do something where like it could be like a piece of clothing and or like a magic item that doesn't denotes you as like supporting one of these sides or the other. Like you've got a
Yeah,
badge from freedom and it
yeah, like a
it
pass or
does
something.
something. Yeah, like a some sort of pass or badge or amulet that like says like I'm for this, or like I've got the freedom uniform, which allows me to do something. It allows me to like freely make anomalies when I need to, but some other weird cost to it.
Yeah,
Um, I like the idea of like maybe a magic, we some sort of magic item like like a faction pass, right? So this associates you with. Did you say it's duty or freedom?
yes,
So freedom are
yeah,
the people that say anybody should have access to this anomaly, and then duty are the people who are trying to protect people from anomaly or the anomaly or keep them
more or
out.
less.
Got
Yeah,
it.
more or less just trying to like protect like civilians from it. Just being like,
Okay.
you like treasure hunters should not come in here going for artifacts, given, you know,
Interesting. Okay. I wonder. So there is a component to the game that's not like we haven't really talked about too much, which is like after at the end of a quest when you come back and you like get the loot after it gets like added to the pool and divvied out, then there's like you can sell loot that you don't want and you have gold that you can use to buy services in town. And I'm wondering, pardon me, if this is either something that can like interact with that loop in some way because you're talking about like keeping people out from this treasure hunting zone or like people who are like encouraging you to do it. So I'm wondering if we could play with something that messes with that element of the loop and or like it could just be a new service in town rather than one of these things where it's like, yeah, there's the freedom store or the duty
yeah,
store.
exactly. Like,
And like if you do blank, they're like really into that thing. Like I feel
yeah,
like the faction like the freedom faction would be really into you selling them magic items.
yeah,
Um
I think the idea of like giving them to the, I think either of them would, but at the same time, like both selling it and probably like also using them,
mm,
like just kind of propagating them throughout.
Gotcha. Yeah. So not only do they take them on, but like they are more present in the city, and like everyone's got these things now because you gave it to one group or the other.
Yeah, like they want you to spread around the wealth, whereas like the other ones do not.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, maybe they want you to give it to them for safekeeping or something.
Yeah. I kind of like to think about this as like a service then in town. So like rather than like a full
Yeah,
blown faction, it's like a service where like services in loot give you um like a party wide bonus usually like something that everybody gets now or we can do this because of this thing that now exists in the town. And I like the idea of like the freedom the freedom party is in town, like they opened up their store and they want you to they I think they want to like collect magic items, right? So like right, is that sort of the
yeah.
vibe?
The vibe is mostly just their whole thing is just being very like, we don't want there to be any laws in the zone.
Gotcha.
Like we don't want anyone really, like they have this like weird like semi-libertarian thing going on.
Okay, I see. I see what they're all about now.
Like
Okay. I wonder then, like, how can we manifest these people in like the core gameplay loop of the game where you're like picking a faction to work for, you go do a thing, you come back, you get loot, you can sell loot and things like that. Like, how would they be involved in that if they would be
yeah.
involved with that?
So my thought for them is like for every like artifact you bring on a mission, you get like some favor with them or something.
Ah, okay, cool.
So
So
like the more you're bringing them into the mix and like keeping them out there instead of like, socked away or sold or something.
I like that a lot. So you gain some sort of benefit or bonus the more you have these on because that
Yeah,
plays with the whole do I want to equip this in the first place because it's going to make things worse for
yeah. And
me.
like, do I want to quit multiple for that matter?
Yeah, right? Like, okay, I can get all kinds of weird bonuses, but also now I'm going to fall apart really quick. But also, the Freedom Party are super into me doing this, or the Freedom Faction are super into me doing this, and we can
Yeah,
also get this if we do it. Uh, I like that a lot. Uh, cool. Perfect. I feel like we've brought in a very important element of the game with the faction stuff.
yeah.
Um, cool. Uh, well, I feel like this is a good list. I feel like we got what we needed to get for this stalker
I think we
thing.
got there.
So, for folks who are watching, what I will eventually do with these guest stream things is I will find ways to somewhat convert these into cards that make sense for loot and send it out as like a bonus thing to all the backers when the campaign gets fulfilled. So I will look forward to figuring out how to draw a Tetris gun and all those sorts of things. Uh, I'm very,
Yeah,
very
describing that on a card might be something.
well. Yeah,
You'll manage,
yeah,
but it's
exactly.
gonna
It'll
be
be
something.
it'll be fun to figure out. Um, So cool. We'll wrap it up here. Binary, do you have some stuff that you want to like shout out or tell folks where they can find you?
Yeah, sure. Website is binarystar.games. I'm at Binary Star Games on most social media. I'm at Binary on co-host for the fucking 10 days it matters, because it's shutting down in October.
Oh, okay.
Um, trying to think what else.
And you've
Yeah, I
got
don't
a
know.
bunch of projects that are coming up that we should all be very excited
Yep.
about.
Keep an eye out for Celestial Bodies Titan Edition coming probably the end of the month.
Wow, really
Yeah.
that soon? Wow.
It's mostly written.
That's amazing. I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Keep an eye out for the Kickstarter for that next spring,
Oh,
because we
okay.
are going to have one. This is not the final edition. We are adding more.
Wow. That's awesome. I mean, I can't wait. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, folks, thanks so much for watching this, either live and or later on, whenever you're watching this. If you're watching this while the Loot Kickstarter is going on, the description will be down somewhere in the video, and you can find it and check out the campaign, share it back, and all that good stuff. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of the day, whatever time of day it is for you, and we'll talk to you later.
Have a good day, night, whatever, morning.
All of that stuff, and all the above. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
See you later.